for sound check. Good afternoon. How's it? That sound good? Good afternoon. My name is Pastor Tommy Schneider. I'm from Calvary Chapel, and I was a neighbor of Ben Matthews. I am so honored to be in this room with you today. And I came in early because I knew that there was going to be a slideshow going for quite some time. And I just wanted to get glimpses into his life, like glimpses you've had into his life. And I sat there and I laughed by myself. People came in to check on me, make sure I was okay. And I saw some of these shots. There was no doubt in my mind Ben owned a room when he came into it. I mean, for sure. I heard that many times through his friends, that there was a sense when his smile cracked into a room, it was like, bang, it's alive. And he knew how to work the camera like no one's business. I knew how to work it. You know, even when he's making the goofy faces, you're like, oh, he actually looks pretty good. Most of the time. That could be pretty irritating because he just looked good in every photo. Not everyone else in the photos looked all that good. He just looked good all the way through it. All the way through it. And so I just can't tell you how honored I am to be with you because I know your heart for this young man. And over the last few days, as I've fallen in love with Ben's family and gotten to know his mom and dad and his brothers and his sister, I have just seen something that was clearly beautiful. And in many ways, I'm jealous that I didn't get more of that. But I know that today, your heart aches, my heart aches for you in this process. And the good news is that today we get to come into this room and in many ways be knit together and kind of made one in this process. We get to celebrate a life that has transformed our lives. And as you see those photos, and some of you were caught in some of those photos, you remember moments and all of these things, and what we see is this beautiful residue that God has left in our heart of this man that changed us and makes us better. I have to start by just offering a word of thanks from the family for you being here. I know that Diana and John just love the outpouring. They've been overwhelmed with the outpouring of love that has come from you on Facebook. And where you can't go on Facebook and all you see is just these amazing comments being made about this young man. But they are so thankful. And on behalf of Ben's brothers and sister, they're so thankful that you're here. And together, we get to celebrate this life. I want to read to you from a scripture that I know many of you know, but I think is apropos because it brings about a sense of comfort as we begin to mourn together this beautiful life that God shared with us. And I know you know this psalm, and maybe you've heard it before, but Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures, and He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you're with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, and you anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And the comfort that we take together through the Word is that Ben simply walked through the valley of the shadow of death. But that today we know, and I know along with his mom and his dad, that there is a sense of great hope knowing that it simply was a shadow, because that he lives eternally. He has a life and right now a hope that is surpassed our understanding. So together we've kind of drawn that hope, but one of the great ways in which God does that in our life and brings about comfort is when we celebrate a life and we begin to see these insights. And today there are so many family members and friends that are going to share with us from Ben's life. We're going to get these glimpses of who he was and how he's meant to us. And I know that as you're seated there, this is going to bring up one story after another. And the challenge for us is just to allow all those stories, all that beautiful fabric, that sweet aroma to God, just to leave that imprint on our heart and to bring about healing and hope today. And so as we start, I'm going to open with a word of prayer, and then I'm going to invite Nate to join us and share. Father, thank you so much for this life that has affected all of us. It's drawn us into this room together. We're thankful for his smile. We're thankful, God, for the ways in which he would change a room even when he walked in it. And Lord, today we ask that this room would be filled with that great essence of his life. that you'd leave that imprint on our heart, and that you'd begin to minister to each one of our hearts and souls in this room. We are thankful for Benjamin John Matthews, and we love you for what you have done in our lives through him. And so we celebrate this life today in your precious Son's name. Amen. I'm going to invite Nick up to share. So Nick, would you come up and share a little bit about your brother?
Microphone's always too tall for me. I mean, I look at all you guys who are here, who are our family, my brother's family, and I just wanted to share with you that the last time I got to speak to my brother, he told me thank you for everything, for helping me, for, you know, getting him to the doctor and just making sure that he was okay. And I feel like I want to tell you through him that he says thank you to you guys. You know, we're out here because we love doing what we love to do, and nobody can tell us what to do.
That was bad.
And even if you did, you probably didn't miss him very well. But the comfort that I find in this whole situation is that, yeah, of course I'm going to miss my brother and my best friend, but I get to see you guys every day, you know. And he was, never did anything half-assed, and I just appreciate him and you guys. And I know that he was here today, and if he died tomorrow or if he died 50 years from now, he lived his life pretty damn full. And so to me and to you guys, thank you for everything, and let's go ride.
Invite Desiree to come share.
Well, I think Nick pretty much summed it all up. Dad and I first moved out here together. It was just him and I. And he got me out of stinking Lincoln. I didn't want to come, and I finally agreed to it. And so we came out here and we lived the dream. This is where he wanted to be. He pissed me off so much all the time. Anybody that knows us knows that Penn and I were constantly at each other, but I realize now that it was always in my best interest. And he was always on my case so hard because he loved me so much and wanted me to experience life the way that he did. Just Ben would want everybody to celebrate his life and not mourn over his life. And he's looking down on us today, and I know that he sees all of us and knows that we all love him very much. So I just wanted to say thank you for everyone being here today, and please watch after my brothers while they're out here, because I'm going to go back to, life out, outside of Lincoln, and they got to be reminded constantly every day of that. So thank you all for being here.
I'd like to invite Rob Stoops to come and share.
keep it short.
I already knew when I was coming up here, most people were like, oh, we're going to be here forever. I'm Ben Matthews. There's nothing I can pretty much say that I think most of you don't know about Ben. There are a few things though. Told you it's going to take a while. The extreme mountain biker. So I had the chance to take Ben up on a trail in Moab, and we pretty much ran out of water about halfway through it, and it was 30 miles into it. We're coming down this trail, and Ben, I'm at the bottom, I see Ben kind of coming down. He flips up over the handlebars and just smacks on the ground. And I'm like, of course, as any good friend, I crack up laughing. And I'm laughing because I was like, wow, that's pretty much the worst Indo I think I've ever seen. And he kind of gets up, like, and he kind of like looks at us laughing, and he comes back down, and I was like, wow, I've never seen a guy like crash so cool. Everything the guy does is just cool, So I love him for it, And it's just, and then there's it's kind of funny, but it's Ben the artist. I don't know, it's not the normal canvas everyone thinks of, but it happened to be my car half the time. I drive a Jeep, so it's pretty much always dirty. Somehow he could always find my car, and he exceptionally could draw really good penises. All over my car. And put cones all over him, lock me in, and I used to drive around with one of the most interesting looking cars. It was just Ben's way of showing his love, and that's one thing, it's just, he's a good friend. He's, I'm gonna miss him so much, but he touched a lot of us, everyone in the show, everyone knows it. Everyone has felt Ben's presence, and will feel him from here on out. I love you guys, I love him, and he'll be missed. Thank you.
I'm just super thankful Ben didn't know what kind of car I drove. Just saying it straight up. I'd like to invite a good friend of Ben's up here. Sean, will you? That's the Sean. Yes, I didn't have his last name. Correct.
I guess I wasn't. See? I too could probably talk for quite a while about Ben. I've known Ben since third grade, so there's quite a few memories that I could and won't. Well, maybe a few. Some fun ones. In elementary school, I remember he was dating. There might not be a lot of people who know this. He was dating Dee Scheffler, if you guys remember Parker Brothers, and he brought. God, I think, and Diane and John, I don't know why you allowed him to get these things. He had about 7 or 8, like hamsters, I think, maybe. Gerbils. Oh, much better. That's good. But he had quite a few. Like there was a litter, and he brought them for show and tell in 6th grade. I was in his homeroom class with him, and we got to name all of them. And I think we named a couple of them after his girlfriend Dee. A few, I guess I don't remember all the other names. That was kind of a memorable elementary school moment. He might have gone to the bathroom in his pants once. No, that was me. Countless others in junior high, high school. In Ben's college years, I knew him very well. He moved. I was living in Los Angeles, and he moved to LA for a summer to live with me. I think the summer of 2000. And I believe that when he first got into town, we had discovered like recently that Icy Hot, if you're familiar with this stuff, I mean, it works well for its intended use, but not when you put it on sensitive areas of your body. And that seems like common sense obvious. And Ben, I think Ben like just got in town, like just came into my place, welcoming him in. We were like, by the way, you do know about how amazing this is, like when we put it there. He's like, I'm thinking he's gonna be like, ha, funny. But he's like, oh yeah, it is. It's great. I'm like, oh, okay, dude, go for it. He's like, yeah, it's awesome. Watching him do it, and then the slow, like, oh, this is good. This. Our bathroom with the shower in it was upstairs, and there was a trick: shoes, socks, pants, shirt, underwear, shower on, Ben holding himself screaming in the shower. So that was just kind of welcome present to lots of fun little stories like that. And Ben would always get into about anything. Sometimes to his detriment. Usually not though. It's usually safe, fun, clean. And I mean, I could really go on. I lived in Hawaii for a couple of years. That was fun. And then from Hawaii, he moved to Denver and then eventually Vail. And I absolutely loved it here. I think his one of his reasons for coming, he said that he was more of a mountain man than a beach man, and that stood true. He absolutely loved being in Vail, and he made some amazing friends. I didn't get the chance to spend nearly as much time out here with him, but we had some fun rendezvous, fish shows, and such. And he loved his friends. Friends loved him. He just made such an impact everywhere he went along his many adventures in life. And we all know that. And there's folks and friends from all those different areas of his life. And it's been said by some of the amazing folks who've been up here before me. But it's so true that if the many memories and things he left, among those and others, certainly the one thing he would want us all to something that we should take with us with respect to his life is how much he loved life. It's short. We don't know how long we're going to be here. Could be tomorrow. Could be 50 years. Could be 60. Cherish. Have fun with with your friends, with your family. Love them. Get over things. Forgive people. And have fun. Give each other hugs. And then always had a smile and was always trying to do that. So that's among many things. One thing that I hope that you made that impression upon folks. Just love life and love those around you in your life.
I think that Ben would love that there have been a lot of firsts at this memorial. And as I look at my list, I actually think it was that Sean that was supposed to question my list here. Of names. I would love now to invite Dan Moon to come and share a family friend with us about Ben's life.
I'm not nearly as good as everyone before me. I actually wrote my entire my talk out today because I didn't trust myself off script. So my name is Dan Moon, and on behalf of my wife Kristen, our son Henley, and all Ben's Kansas City connection, we just really extend our deepest thoughts and condolences to the family and to all the friends who were here today. And just were really impacted by Ben, as you can tell from Sean and his brother and sister. She just made a tremendous impact on us. So it was the spring of 2003 that my life would change at a bar of all places. Imagine that. I had just finished a tough shift folding jeans and spraying cologne in the air at Abercrombie & Fitch. I was headed out with a few co-workers to Harpo's in Westbrook for quarter draws. Shortly after our arrival, a friend came up to me and said, oh my gosh, Dan, there's this guy here, he's your twin. And I was like, I'd known this girl before, and she knew Ben, and Ben and I never crossed paths, and she goes, no, for real, come here. And she drug me over to see Ben, and me and Ben met, and of course, when we did finally meet, we understood the connection. both of our hair were spiked and gelled in a way that would make the Jersey Shore guys jealous. And in fact, Ben and I would always joke when we did meet, it was love at first sight. And come to this day, we would even just a couple months ago, we were sharing time together here in Vail. We would joke that it always sounded like we were a couple of old married couples, always reminiscing about that chance meeting in a bar in Kansas City with our Abercrombie book. So I'm eternally thankful that the Lord brought Ben into my life that fateful night in 2003 over warm natty light. Over the next few years that Ben lived in Kansas City, we became inseparable. I somehow convinced him that graduating magna cum laude with a degree that I really can't even pronounce was somehow far inferior to a promising career at Abercrombie & Fitch. And Ben followed me into the world of retail management, where we entertained ourselves and customers by doing handstands on the cash registers and wrestling in the middle of the floor. And our friend Andrew Mandrick, and a good friend, and now Andrew Matthews, a good friend of ours, can attest to this. And I'm sure she watched us in shock and wonder at the same time. After Abercrombie politely asked for our resignation, we joined forces again at an up-and-coming sushi restaurant that just opened in Kansas City called the Kona Grill. This is where Ben's passion for people, food, good wine could flourish. This is actually where Ben began to share his dreams with me of one day becoming a master sommelier and opening his own restaurant. So I appreciate that time for us as well. Ben lived to make people smile. He had a passion for serving others, loved great food, and he loved great wine. The way he could personally connect with random strangers and make each person felt that he met feel included and worthwhile was the many things that I loved about Ben. Serving is what Ben was made for. He would have succeeded in anything that he chose to do, but he knew a restaurant was where he belonged and where his gifts could really shine. He found his passion early and he went for it with reckless abandon. I am so inspired by my friend Ben because of this. After Ben left Kansas City, we remained extraordinarily close despite all the subsequent moves and the busyness of life, including my wedding, that I had the honor of having Ben stand with me, which, by the way, in true Ben fashion, shows up that day with a fresh-cut frohawk. Much to the chagrin of my wife that day. But now we treasure those pictures. And here we are with the groomsmen that I'm with, all with clean-cut comb-overs, and here's Ben standing there with a frohawk. We appreciate that now. We remained close through this time, not because of me, but because of Ben. Ben would make every effort to turn a trip back home to Nebraska into a trip to Kansas City, which aren't necessarily all that close to each other. I never heard Ben make excuses or say no to anyone, and constantly went out of his way to nourish his relations with family and friends, despite the distances. Ben knew better than anyone that life is short and fragile. He pursued relationships as if they weren't guaranteed forever. Relationships aren't 50-50. They are 100-100, and Ben always fulfilled his 100. Ben loved people like there was no tomorrow, and he lived like he was on borrowed time. I am so inspired by my friend Ben because of this. Ben also had a secret that he didn't share with many people, but I know was the source of his seemingly endless capacity to love and to live. One of the things I treasure the most about Ben was our conversations about our faith in Jesus Christ. We both found common ground in our faith journey and enjoyed sharing our own struggles with each other. We were both so blessed to have been raised by extraordinary parents who instilled the Lord in us from an early age, and a love for Jesus Christ within our hearts, even if we often acted otherwise. We were far from perfect, but believed in a God who didn't call us to be. Ben believed in Jesus and knew him personally. This is who I believe gave Ben daily his supernatural capacity to love every single person sitting here in this room, and so many countless others. I'm thankful that Ben's mom and dad so faithfully instilled these values in Ben at a young age, and were Ben's prayer warriors before he was even born and all throughout his life. I treasured these conversations with Ben, knowing that he didn't often speak of his faith journey. It is because of this that I find comfort even in his death, that through Jesus Christ's resurrection, we will see our friend Ben again. I want to leave you all with a poem that was given to me and my wife a few months ago, and is set on our coffee table unread until just a few days ago as we grieved the loss of our dear friend. I believe it perfectly captures the essence of how Ben lived his life and carries it with it a challenge of how we can live a little bit more like Ben. It's called The Dash. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on his tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of his birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that we spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved him know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love, and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel. And be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? Ben, I am so proud to have known you. To have called you friend, and to have the honor of speaking today about how you live your dash, the way God intended it. Thank you for teaching me to live with passion, to love selflessly, and to pursue relationships, giving my 100. Love you, buddy.
I'm blessed to invite Dave McComb up here. A family friend has known Ben for forever, right?
Well, I guess I'm the old guy to talk about Ben. And I knew Ben before he was born, because I knew his dad. And you think Ben had a full life, and full of adventure and excitement. You should have known his dad. I think John was about 20, moved up to Summit County. Was in business up there, kind of like John. In my 20s, I'd gone through midlife crisis. Came to the mountains to resolve the crisis. And I called Ben for you, Ben. But to us, he was Benny John. See, we're from Texas. And when he was crawling around on the floor of our Littleton home, just about a year old, my wife says, "That's Benny John." And so he's always been Benny John to us. We love Benny John because we loved his mom and dad. We knew them when they courted, when they married, when God gave them Benny John. Sometimes I blame myself a little bit as well as John for getting Benny John of the mountains. See, we lived in Summit County. We were among the early pioneers over there back in the early 70s. John lived in the backyard of our home. I think it was in a little trailer, wasn't it, John? Yeah. Does that sound like Benny John? We had a little bit of more hand in Benny John's life as we helped John and Benny John get to Africa, and to China, doing the things that meant all the world to them, with the most important things in the world to them. Then there was a time Benny John came to work on a ranch. Had a ranch over in Grand County, Grand Lake. We just leased it. We had 40 head of horses, beautiful place. River, Colorado ran right through it. Benny John was a wrangler. Had to teach him a little bit about cowboying. How to keep the cinch tight so the tenor feet didn't fall off and slip off their saddle. How to keep them calm whenever the horses got skittish and the moose showed up and everybody went to bucking. Had to show those kind of things. Benny John was fun. It's fun to see his zest for life. He'd get up at 5:30 every morning. There on the ranch, we'd meet in the restaurant. It was a dude ranch type ranch. And maybe that's where he got his hankering for restaurant business. 5:30, we were having devotions. There was 3 really cute little gals that also worked on the ranch, took care of the cabins and served in the restaurant. And I never could tell if the reason they came was because they wanted to see Benny John, or the reason he came is he wanted to see them. Learn to love Benny John. There's a question that goes through my mind. It's a question in our culture that's asked so often. You know, why is one taken in the prime of his life? Because certainly from all that you've heard, this was the prime of Benny John's life. And Benny John and I shared at the very end something together that I'd like to tell you about. Respiratory disease. A number of years ago, they gave me 5 to 7 years to live. That was 1974. And on one occasion, I went to the other side. It's what the media calls life after life, and I could tell you a lot of stories about that. But I had an incredible experience on the other side of the Jordan River. I can tell you some of the things that Benny John is experiencing right now. One thing he's experiencing is he's not worried about any of you guys. Because he knows with no doubts, with no lack of understanding, in all its fullness, Benny John knows the love of the Lord Jesus Christ that he has for each, every one of you. He's not worried about you because where he is, it's impossible to worry. Worries, anxieties can't exist in the space where Benny John lives. I can remember when I came back, I had to apologize to my family because I couldn't worry about him when I was away. And that's what he feels. And he also knows Benny John has plenty of things he'll like to forget. So do I. So does Dad. So do all of us. But he's forgotten them there. Because those things that we all wish had never happened are removed from us as far as the east is from the west. And the Lord Jesus Christ remembers them against us no more. Benny John is in glory. He's happy for you guys. He knows how much the Lord loves you. He's not worried about anything. He lives in a place where there's not time like we know it. He lives in a place of perfect acceptance, perfect freedom, perfect liberty, perfect joy. And though I wish that he was still here, as I know you do, he's in the greatest place he could be, the place that we're all created for. So thanks for the chance to publicly remember Benny John. He is a ringer. So is his dad.
Benny John the cowboy. Love it. I'm blessed to now invite Mom and Dad to come and share a little bit. So John, would you come join us and share your love for your son?
Thank you for coming. Benjamin was a gift. None of us deserving. He was so special. We knew from the moment that he was conceived outside of Calgary, Alberta. Diana was so sick she couldn't keep anything down. Ben was kicking and screaming before he could even get out of the womb. He changed our lives. Not in a way that we really wanted. I mean, he was a tough baby. Wow. I took him to Africa, thought I could get a good price on him. Ben was an adventuresome spirit. I loved to watch him, to just see that discovery mode that he was in. Whether he was climbing on the back of his 2 Staffordshire Bull Terriers in Zimbabwe, loving them to death, sleeping in their doghouse with them, on top of them. He was just full of life. A life that I just can't believe. It's like he packed in 80 years of living into 33 and a third years. How do you do that? I don't know, but he was pretty good at it. I really struggle with this, as you do. But my relief is knowing that I will see him again. And that he's gone home to the place and the person that he wanted, that he was always discovering, searching for. The place is heaven. The person is Jesus Christ. I believe that a guardian angel, his guardian angel, Ben probably had 2 or 3 because he needed one. But I believe that guardian angel ushered him into heaven a few days ago and took him straight to Jesus. Then Jesus is the one that wiped away his tears with personal attachment and compassion. That is as good as it gets. And I have nothing but great memories. Sure, it's going to be hard. But when I look at you and I see the legacy that Benjamin left, I am so encouraged because I didn't know everything about what he was doing when he wasn't with me. I didn't fully understand. I still don't. Thank you for sharing your life and pulling me aside and telling me how Ben loved you with his heart. He was a cerebral jock. I mean, brilliant of mind. And yet, he communicated with his heart. He was a gift to us. And I'm just so excited that he touched so many people's lives. And I just thank you that by you being here, it helps me to reevaluate my mid-course correction. What I want to do different in my 3rd trimester, my 60 to 90 years, if God would let me stay on earth a little longer. What mid-course corrections, what legacy I would like to leave. And I hope that you as well would find those quiet moments as we grieve for Ben to say, God, what purpose did you bring me into the world for?